Diablo 4 just had an insane amount of info drop. We're going to go over endgame systems, the Paragon board, 2 different dev Q&As. We'll also briefly talk on the endgame video, but we already have a lot of information from the other sources. We're going to go into some of the gold stuff, the gold sinks, and the refund costs on specs. And last but not least, they actually did confirm the dev live stream, so we're going to go over that too. What's up, World Streamer? Back in the video, and today we're checking out all things Diablo 4. Now first up, let's jump into the dev Q&A from Game Director Joe Shelley and Diablo General Manager Rob Ferguson. Now one of the first main interesting questions we got is about the Renown and Altars of Lilith per season. Essentially they asked, will they reset with each season for the Renown system and the Altars of Lilith? Which the response was Joe Shelley explained that the seasons in Diablo 4 use a similar philosophy to Diablo 3 in terms of providing fresh start with an equal footing for everyone. Some systems will be tied to your account, and in some cases they will carry over between seasons. And it's very odd that he doesn't want to address this question. Obviously the answer is probably they are going to get reset, and it's more than likely if a dev doesn't want to answer a question directly, it's probably the worst option. And seeing as they already make you get the Lilith statues on each individual character, yeah, they're going to definitely reset with each season. Hey, now a question from my last video, they finally asked, will there be a secret cow level? And they said, at launch, Diablo 4 will have gritty and grounded world, a cow level, wings or pets take away from that groundness. As they go down the line, things will loosen up. For me, that sounds like there's no secret level, and I'm a bit disappointed with that because I do think that a secret level just shows that they had fun making the game, as I said in my last video. Regardless, that opinion didn't seem to be shared with the rest of you commenters, but I do think that it shows more passion when they do fun things like that. It showcases that the developers actually had a good time making the game and that they had fun introducing these different systems, especially when there's like a little secret level. It also goes to show that if there is a secret level, that they had time to make a secret level and they weren't being forced or rushed out to make this game like they did. Regardless, we'll move on from that. Now, they did talk briefly on the leaderboard system, and they said that the leaderboard is going to be a post-launch thing, which is a little bit disappointing, but I understand. As long as it comes with Season 1, I think it'll be okay. And they did mention that there was going to be a level 100 boss in place of the leaderboard system, so that would be like your kind of gauge for strength. And they did mention that the leaderboards could encourage people to use exploits and botting and things of that nature. It also could sway people to too many different builds, but most people are just going to go to YouTube for builds anyways. I'm not really sure what that entails. And anytime there was people modding in Call of Duty on the leaderboards, usually it took a little while, but they usually got removed from the leaderboards. I don't know, I guess I'm just kind of tired of developers nowadays wanting to offer a zero in-game support for anything, including leaderboards or anything like that. They just offer zero in-game support. They don't care about clearing up cheaters. They don't care about taking them off the leaderboards. They just leave it. If the system doesn't do it automatically, then it's not good enough, which I disagree with, and I hope that they do reconsider that. But in a sense, at least we'll get leaderboards at some point. Now here's a big juicy one. They did say that the best gear would be available through gambling in BlizzCon 2019. They asked if that was still the case, and they responded with super rare uniques, which are more rare than the regular uniques we've added since then, which may not be available through gambling. Joe Shelley added that they would double check on that to make sure that information is correct. So it sounds like some of these rare uniques are going to be catered to only being obtained through maybe loot means and not just like this like gambling thing where you're turning in shards. I think they showcased the turn in shard thing, and that was kind of cool how there was like a little PvP aspect to it. Seems like there's like the purple little poker chip shards, and then there's the red ones that you can do and earn from PvP. They also did ask if there was going to be any clan activities like a clan world boss raid, to which they replied, more features for clans are planned post-launch. There are currently no organized structure to fight world bosses with multiple groups, but Joe Shelley added it is a cool idea. Yeah, it is a cool idea, man. I just wish it had this type of quality that Lost Ark offered, because the direction they're going in, that's what players are going to look for. But we'll see how it plays out. Now, apparently with Diablo 2 to Diablo 3, the season started within a week, and so they did ask about season cadence that would be changed for this time around. To which they replied, Blizzard will try to have a more predictable cadence for seasons in Diablo 4 and move from Diablo 2 and 3. Another question was about the season journey rewards, and they said that they talked about it previously about unique rewards being attached to it, including cosmetics. Joe Shelley explained that the season journey includes power-based rewards and is not monetized, which is definitely good to hear. They did also address the damage multipliers on gear, to which Joe Shelley replied in saying no, that they won't reduce the overall scaling multipliers and damage numbers in combat. Their focus on implementing legendary powers is to create new builds to have them change builds. The philosophy of reducing overall scaling multipliers applies to legendaries, uniques, packs and also sets in the future. Joe added that sets can be great for having a cohesive look, and they can be excellent for new players that don't want to create their own builds, but they can have the negative effects of simplifying interests of builds that are available by taking them up an item slot. Which, yeah, that's a bit confusing. Normally sets in video games are better to use, like in World of Warcraft, and I heard that people hated sets in Diablo 3, so I'm not too sure what that sort of means. Hopefully that, like he said, just for newer players, and it's just kind of like a baseline thing. That's what it kind of sounds like anyways. Now, they also did bring up the focus around the launch of Diablo 4. After receiving feedback from Diablo 4 beta, do you have any specific focus on what you're trying to change before launch? They responded with the server infrastructure being ready for launch is the most important. They also want to focus on class balance and difficulty balance. Which, yeah, I certainly hope they focus on class balance and difficulty balance. And as said before, a lot of people think that these betas, when they're like 3 to 4 months from launch, are like an actual beta. And no, they're just overall network tests used to check the server infrastructure. Betas that are this close to launch are mostly used as a marketing tool. Of course, they did mention future endgame content, to which they replied, yes, there would be new future endgame content. Another big question was, will the UI be updated with additional quality of life features before release? They did say there are some points that can be addressed between beta and release, but they did add that the UI will not dramatically change in that period of time, simply because there is not enough time. Some issues like bugs need a faster transition, and others over more complex problems. We want the UI to be accessible to all kinds of players. There are a lot of factors. I really do hate that broad audience talk. That is very unfortunate. With certain things, I really do think that the broader audience for certain stuff, shooting for a broader audience, has never fared well with most games. Just look at Halo Infinite. That's what they were going for. The game has like 5K players, or if that. Regardless, that's pretty sad that they won't address any of the UI issues, but I kind of do that, again, because I said this last beta was more of a marketing beta. People also talked about an inventory gem tab, which, yeah, the gems should not be taking up an inventory space. They literally kind of like destroyed my storage space. However, they said they did just say that the feedback will be passed on to the development team. One of the things that the tab inventory allows for us is the flexibility where items go. It doesn't really sound promising for launch, but maybe in the future. They also did show off that there's going to be a developer live stream on April 20th, and that will feature Riker, so be sure to check that out. You guys are actually a decent content creator. Also, during that endgame video, they also did show off the refund and respec costs, and they're quite up there. For the Paragon board is around 50k, and for the regular skill tree it was over 100k. Again, we don't know how this is going to equate into things, and like I said, at level 25 with 4 characters, I had about 1.6 million. Again, still kind of hard to equate to different things, but if you split it up, I had around 400k at level 25. So yeah, maybe it won't be as bad, and I assume that if you kind of calculate that out, you'll probably have several millions, if not more, by the time you hit max level. And yeah, even you could see in the top right, the player actually does have 2.6 million for that $100,000 refund cost. They also did announce the global release time, so I will have those down below, so you can check those out. But that is about cover for today's video, and I'm going to have all the links that I talked about in the description down below if you want to check it out for yourself. And if you enjoyed today's video, I'd like a like and subscribe. Until the next one, deuce.